This will only take about an hour. 2.5 hours later, still going. 4 hours and 15 minutes. For a task you said was an hour, I'll have the project done by Friday. It's Tuesday of the following week. The project is almost done. You've planned your Monday. Everything has a time slot. It all adds up to 7.5 hours. Perfect. By 5:30 p.m., 2 things are done, 5 are not. And you have no idea where the day went. This keeps happening, not occasionally, consistently, every time. You've probably blamed your focus, your discipline, your inability to estimate, maybe even your personality. None of those. There is a specific cognitive error, documented by 2 Nobel laureates, that explains exactly what's happening. And here's the most insidious part. Even after experiencing it repeatedly, you still believe this next plan will be different. This time I'll actually finish by Friday. This time I've left enough buffer. This time I know what I'm doing. This is called the planning fallacy. It is one of the most well-documented and universal cognitive biases in psychology. It was named by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky in 1979. Kahneman later won the Nobel Prize in Economics for his work on cognitive biases, of which this is one of the most practically important. And here's the promise of this video. By the end, you will estimate your time more accurately, not by trying harder, but by thinking differently. Those 3 estimates from earlier, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why they were wrong, and how to make better ones. Let's start with what's actually happening in your mind when you make a plan. It starts with the scenario your brain builds. When you sit down to estimate how long a task will take, your brain doesn't run the numbers. It runs a simulation. You imagine yourself doing the task, step by step, in the best case scenario. No interruptions, no unexpected problems. You at your most focused. Then you add up the steps. And that sum feels accurate, because the simulation was smooth. But then reality shows up. An interruption. A problem that wasn't in the simulation. The step you imagined taking 5 minutes now takes 15, because the context switch wasn't in the estimate. Then there's a mistake that needs correcting. A dependency you didn't account for. Something you need to find before you can continue. Every step takes longer than the simulation suggested, and the gap compounds. You estimated the simulation. You experienced reality. They are almost never the same path. And here's the part that makes this so persistent. The simulation always feels realistic when you're running it. Kahneman identified 2 approaches to planning, the inside view and the outside view. Almost everyone uses the inside view almost all the time. The inside view, you focus on the specific details of this particular task, its unique features, your plan for it, the best case sequence of how it unfolds. The outside view, you ignore the unique features of this specific project. Instead, you ask, what is the base rate? How long have similar projects actually taken, in the past, by people with similar skills? The inside view produces optimistic estimates. The outside view produces accurate ones, and Kahneman has the data to prove it. Let me show you the most striking example of the planning fallacy ever documented, because it's impossible to dismiss. Sydney, Australia, 1957. A government commissions a new opera house. The official estimate, 7 years to build. Budget, 7 million Australian dollars. The government was confident. The architects were confident. Everyone involved was confident. The Sydney Opera House was completed in 1973, 16 years later, at a cost of $102 million, 14 times over budget. Built by the best architects of their generation, with a full government team. The planning fallacy does not discriminate by expertise. Kahneman and Tversky studied exactly this pattern across construction projects, government programs, and individual personal projects. The results were identical. In one study, students were asked to estimate when they would finish their undergraduate thesis. The average estimate, 27 days. The actual average, 56 days. More than twice the estimate. And when asked to consider their worst case, even that was optimistic. The planning fallacy isn't just that your best case is wrong. Your worst case is also wrong, in the same direction. Why? Because the inside view only shows you the scenario you imagined, not the distribution of outcomes that actually occur. Real-world task completion times don't follow the plan. They follow a distribution, and that distribution is always skewed toward taking longer. Things can go only slightly faster than planned, but they can go much slower, and that asymmetry makes your average estimate systematically low. The outside view corrects for this. Instead of imagining this specific project, you look at what comparable projects have actually taken. Writing a report like this one, last one took 4 days. The one before 5 days. The average of my reference class is 4.5 days. That's your estimate, not the best case. not what feels right, what your past actually shows. The outside view feels less exciting. It doesn't inspire. The inside view's optimism is motivating, which is why we keep using it even when it keeps failing us. And there's a second layer, 3 specific cognitive mechanisms that make the inside view almost irresistible. Before the fix, you need to understand why knowing about the planning fallacy doesn't automatically correct it. 3 mechanisms, each one making the inside view harder to resist. Ready? Before the mechanisms, a quick story. Kahneman himself describes being caught by the planning fallacy. He and his team were writing a curriculum. His estimate, 2 years. The curriculum took 8 years. A team of expert educators, including the person who had identified and named this exact bias, fell into it. This is not a knowledge problem. It is a structural problem, and it requires a structural solution. The 3 mechanisms that lock in the inside view and make it so hard to resist, even when you know better. Mechanism 1. Mechanism 1, optimism bias. Your brain is wired to overestimate positive outcomes and underestimate negative ones, not as a mood, but as a default neural setting. When you imagine the future, your brain naturally emphasizes positive scenarios. The neurons that fire for this will go well have lower activation thresholds than those for this will go badly. Applied to planning, when you imagine doing the task, your brain zooms in on the successful path and systematically underweights the obstacles. Mechanism 2, scope insensitivity. Your brain is very poor at imagining the difference between time durations in the future. Close your eyes and feel the difference between a 2-week project and a 4-week project. Not the logical difference, the felt difference, because both are in the future, and the brain encodes future time as a single abstraction rather than precise durations. This means your estimate of 4 weeks doesn't feel 4 times more daunting than your estimate of 1 week, so you underadjust upward even when you know you should. Mechanism 3, planning in steps, not time. This is the one that changes most when you understand it. When you plan a task, you typically break it into steps and estimate the time for each step. This feels precise. It feels like good planning, but each individual step estimate is also an inside view estimate, imagining that step in its best case scenario. The alternative, estimating from time, not steps. Not how many steps, but how long did this type of task actually take me before. 3 mechanisms, all pushing in the same direction, toward underestimation. Together, they explain why the inside view is so seductive and why knowing about it doesn't protect you. Now look at that Monday plan again. 7 tasks, 7.5 hours estimated. Every estimate was an inside view estimate. Every estimate was a best case sub-estimate. The compound result was never going to be achievable. The problem wasn't your execution. The problem was the plan itself. Monday morning planning feels so achievable precisely because of scope insensitivity. The week is entirely in the future, a single undifferentiated future bucket. By Thursday, the week is no longer abstract. The remaining time is immediate, not future. And suddenly the plan feels impossible. The plan hasn't changed. Your circumstances haven't changed. Only the temporal distance has changed, and with it, the felt availability of time. The 3 mechanisms together don't just produce inaccurate estimates. They produce a specific set of patterns in your life, and some of them are costing you more than you realize. 3 patterns, and then the fix. Research aggregating planning fallacy studies finds the average actual duration of tasks is 1.5 to 2 times the estimated duration, across industries, experience levels, and task types. Applied to your week, if you consistently estimate at 60% of actual time, you're planning as if you have 1.6 weeks available in a single week, which is why you always end Friday feeling behind. And the 40% of planned work that doesn't happen this week rolls to next week, where it competes with next week's over-optimistic plan. This is the hidden cost. Not just the single delayed project, but the perpetual feeling of being behind, of having more to do than time allows, of never quite catching up. Understanding why changes nothing by itself. So, 3 patterns that name exactly where this shows up in your life. 3 ways the planning fallacy is showing up in your life right now, beyond just tasks take longer. Ready? Pattern 1, the deadline spiral. Underestimating causes lateness. Lateness causes rushed work. Rushed work causes errors. Errors cause rework. Rework costs more time than the original task. You've done this. You rushed the last 20% of the project, submitted it, and then spent the next 3 days fixing the issues that rushing created. If you had estimated accurately and done the work without rushing, it would have taken 4 hours. The rushed version plus the rework, 11 hours. Pattern 2, the commitment trap. When you estimate from the inside view, you make commitments based on best-case assumptions, which means you are always overcommit relative to your actual capacity. You say yes to things because your inside view estimate suggests you have the time. By the time you discover you don't, the commitment is already made. The commitment trap also affects relationships. Colleagues, clients, and managers experience your inside view estimates as promises. When the estimate is wrong, they experience it as a broken promise. Pattern 3, the confidence-competence gap. The planning fallacy creates a mismatch between how skilled someone is and how reliable they appear to be. A highly skilled person who consistently misses their self-declared deadlines is perceived as less professional than a less skilled person who consistently hits theirs, because the estimate signals self-awareness. 3 patterns, 1 root cause, the inside view, and 1 structural fix that addresses all 3 simultaneously. The fix Kahneman prescribes is called reference class forecasting. It is the formalized outside view, and it works. Reference class forecasting has 3 steps. Identify the reference class, find the base rate, and adjust from there. For a report, reference class is reports like this. Base rate from your log, 4.2 days average. Adjustment, this one is slightly more complex. Estimate, 5 days. 5 days versus 2 hours. Both estimates of the same task, one from the inside, one from the outside. Only one of them will be close to reality. 4 methods to implement reference class forecasting, starting from wherever you are, with whatever information you have. The solution framework has a name, Decision Architecture for Time, and it works on the same principle as Decision Architecture for Willpower. Remove the moment of decision from the inside view. There's a second-order cost that doesn't get named enough, the chronic stress of always feeling behind. It's not the same as acute deadline stress. It's lower grade, more persistent, and it's the planning fallacy's least visible damage. Every task that doesn't get done because it was planned inaccurately becomes an open loop. And open loops are cognitive tax, whether you're consciously thinking about them or not. The planning fallacy connects to everything we've covered in this series. Inaccurate plans create decision fatigue, open loops, and motivation drains, all in sequence. Fix the plan, and you interrupt the entire cascade. Fewer open loops, less decision fatigue, more completed work, better estimates next time. 4 methods, starting with one you can use in the next planning session you have. Ready for the fix? Method 1, the time log. For 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, record the actual time spent on every major recurring task type you do. Not the estimated time, the actual time, every time. After 2 weeks, you have your personal reference class library. Reports like this, average 4.2 days, weekly email batch, 90 minutes, project kickoff, 3 hours, real numbers from your real work. From that point forward, your first estimation question is never how long should this take? It's what does my log say similar work has taken? Method 2, the 1.5 times rule. Whatever your inside view estimate is, multiply it by 1.5. This is the average underestimation magnitude documented across planning fallacy research. It's a simple heuristic that accounts for what you systematically miss. The 1.5 times estimate will feel too conservative. It will feel like sandbagging. That feeling is the inside view reasserting itself. Trust the data, not the feeling. Method 3, the pre-mortem. Before the project begins, imagine it has already failed. Not what might go wrong. What did go wrong? Write it down. When you ask what went wrong, specific answers emerge. The client changed the scope. The review took longer than expected. I ran into a technical problem in step 3. Now add time for each of those. The time log gives you the base rate. The pre-mortem gives you the adjustment. Together, a realistic estimate that accounts for both history and anticipated complexity. Method 4, the outside view question. Before any estimate, ask yourself one question. How long did the last similar thing actually take me? Say the number out loud. Start from there. Instead of imagining the steps, you're remembering the duration. You shift from inside view simulation to outside view recall instantly. For methods, ordered from most investment required to least, use the one that fits where you are right now. This is what the corrected Monday plan looks like. 5 tasks instead of 7. Realistic time allocations. A day that actually fits in a day. By 5 p.m., 5 tasks complete. No carried over backlog. No guilt. No open loops from today added to tomorrow's cognitive load. Remember those 3 estimates from the beginning? Here's what the outside view would have said. The task was a 4-day project, not an hour. The project needed a 3-week runway. The Monday plan had room for 3 tasks, not 7. The outside view would have saved you the deadline spiral, the commitment trap, and the confidence-competence gap, all at once. You were not bad at planning. You were planning from the wrong view. Change the view, change the plan, change the outcome. Before your next planning session, ask the outside view question. One question. That's the start. And the next time you're about to write this will only take an hour. Pause. Ask the question. Here's what I want you to take from this. We've now covered 4 mechanisms that explain why goals fail. Day 1. Dopamine prediction error. Motivation fades. Day 3. Ego depletion. Willpower runs out. Day 8. Zeigarnik effect. Open loops drain focus. Day 10. The planning fallacy. Time is misestimated from the start. Not one of these mechanisms is a character flaw. All 4 are documented cognitive patterns that affect every person, including the scientists who discovered them. Understanding them is the beginning of working with them. The next series builds on all 4. Not more mechanisms, a system. Identity-based habit formation, where the science becomes a practice. Ask the outside view question before the next estimate. The next video series takes everything we've built across these 4 videos, the dopamine system, the willpower budget, the open loop mechanism, and now the planning framework, and puts them into a single coherent practice. It's linked right now.